Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Liberation Prayer Ministries. And today, our segment will be on building transgenerational wealth via real assets. On today's segment, we have here with me Dr. Bayo Fasanya, who is the CEO of Dr. Breathe Easy Capital. So, welcome today, Dr. Adebayo. What would you like to be called, by the
Uh,
way?
Bayo is fine.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining the segment this afternoon here in New Jersey, Eastern Time. I believe you're in what central part of the U.S.
Central.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you so much for
Yep.
your
You got it
time.
right.
Thank you. So thank you so much for your time. I will allow you to introduce yourself to our viewers, give them a little bit of your background and your portfolio.
No. Okay. Thanks for that, studio. So next slide. So I'm Dr. Fasanya. I'm a pulmonary critical care physician, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more on other things I do. I consider myself a serial entrepreneur in terms of I'm a pulmonary critical care physician. I focus on the lung and ICU. And also, I just started my own private practice this year. Along with that, I started the Total Holistic Healthcare Program because some of our patients do ask for other alternative from the regular medicine. So I'm also the founder and CEO, as Elizabeth has said, of Dr. Breathe Easy Capital. I also have a blog, Dr. Breathe Easy Finance, which talks about how to pay off debt, how to invest and things like that. We do have a coaching program, which is a real asset docs, mainly to help other people learn how to invest. We do have a car audio company. That's a kind of a interesting story. It's totally not related to everything else, but it was a good deal. Came to me and they want me for my business sense, and then I got a percentage ownership on it. And then we also have a medical equipment company, so which is alongside of my medical things that I do. And on the real asset side, why am I qualified to have this discussion? I have over a decade experience in real estate and real asset, which we're going to be talking about later. I even have more experience than that because when I moved from Nigeria to Canada as 18 years old, my parents, we actually with alongside with my parents, we do reassignment homes, which we basically pay construction. So when there's a new construction, we pay 10% down, and then we have the ability to sell it, reassign it to someone else within 2 years of before it's finished completion, before it's completed. So you can make a lot of money because you don't have to really do anything. So it was working, but my parents were handling that. So then, of course, I went to medical school, came back, but I went back at it about 10 years ago. And my main goal, if someone meets me by the elevator and say, "What do you do?" So I always say I'm helping fellow physicians achieve financial freedom through real asset investing, and other high income earners. And this is our portfolio. As you can see, it's very diversified, and that's another strategy. It's a big debate between whether you should diversify early on or later on, or whether you should focus on what you know best. So I chose the diversification route only because if something is not doing well, something other asset class might be doing better. So, and you can see the different sizes. I mean, we started getting bigger sizes over time, but we started small. Just and this is for people to know that there's 4 single family, right? We had 8 units, joint venture, and then you can see our last one was 405 units. So this is a natural progression, of being consistent and doing, basically continue to be persistent with what you do. So we have about 1,500 units now under management, and about 170 mil under management, because I haven't added the last one. We just closed it last Friday. So So we are diverse across multiple asset classes, in terms of we do have luxury senior living, we do have self-storages, we have multifamily, which is a bigger portion of our portfolio. We have boat storage, 3 offices, and we do also do oil and gas deals. My partner actually does some mineral rights and agriculture. He actually bought like a big piece of land and grow like timber trees. So, so there's many ways to do this. Even within real estate, we are very diversified. So, and then the last one is just last year, I had the privilege of writing a chapter in a book, and we actually got the #1 Amazon bestseller. So, and this is me and my partner too, Dr. George Ozude, who is an orthopedic surgeon in Houston. So, I didn't really think I was gonna write a book, but when an opportunity presented itself, and it became popular. So, I'm very grateful for that. So that's, my background and how I got into real estate and my journey in a nutshell.
Wow, that's quite impressive and extensive as well. Wow. Okay. So we're going to touch base on your portfolio later because I have a lot of questions in regards to that. So, just to break into the segment that we have going on at the moment, can you please educate our viewers on what generational wealth is? And is it the same as transgenerational wealth or are they different? So, over to you. And why is it important? So, we'll attack those 3 points in one.
So first is the definition. So generational wealth is exactly what it says. You basically build enough wealth to have a comfortable life yourself and also have enough for the next generation. I think by definition, if you move it to the next generation, your kids are comfortable and they have all basic necessities and they don't struggle. I believe that you've at least got the generational wealth. Some will push it further to transgenerational wealth, or the true generational wealth is for you to have system in place so that it does not just outlast you, outlast the next generation, but outlast at least 3 generations or even 10 generations. An example would be if you have a trust, which is what my own goal is, for education, for example, to, let's say it's $1 billion. I mean, I'm just making up numbers here. And, you have that, and that is just purely for education for your family forever. And we always believe that you can get 4% return with our ability to keep your original investment. So for 4% of that would be, what is it now? 40 mil, right? So with that, you can be like, okay, this just the interest alone will be funding all the education, and you can stipulate it how you want. So you've effectively created transgenerational wealth that way in a, although you focus on one section, and be like, look, all my generation, at least, and, they will never dip into the money. Just the interest alone will be enough to fund until maybe one day something will happen, and then maybe they have to spend the $1 billion, and that's okay. So anyway, so that's how to kind of think about it as something far beyond just, my kids, my grandkids. I'm talking about people that will never, know about you. They just know about you based on the trust. So,
And
and
that's
why is it important? You said,
important.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. So, I mean, there's many reasons. We always say this, like, I don't want my kids to suffer the way I want to suffer. I suffered. Of course, you have to still teach them, value of money. But I think #1 is it allowed them to pursue passion. You know, like when I came, to Canada, there's literally only few choices. I'm like, I need to do medicine. Why? We're poor, and this is what I need to do. So it started off as a sacrificing myself in a way, when people say, "Oh, why do you love medicine?" Yes, I love people, but I want to move. I want a stable job, a way to move to at least upper middle class. That was purely logic reason, you know. So, uh, but then they, they don't have to do that, right? They can pursue that. The other part is it also encourage financial discipline, not just in yourself, also, in your kids and generations to come. Because we always notice that, like when there's family, you know, that have something to uphold, and then even in your stipulations, there are things you can put there that whoever has a business, you know, gets $10 million, or that is successful after a few years. So you can put those there. So I think it's encourages passing on kind of a financial blueprint in the family also. And of course, like educational opportunity, like we said, ability for you to go, not just to go to further education. For example, medical school cost me $300,000, right? If you do it in Nigeria. And I was lucky my aunt was able to co-sign for me. My parent could not, right? Because my mom was a teacher in Nigeria, but couldn't. When she moved to Canada, she was doing social worker. My dad was a chartered accountant in Nigeria, like on the top. But when he got to Canada, he's working factory job. So in that way, it was so close that I may not have been able to made it to medical school because of money. So these are the kind of things that I don't want to happen to the next generation. And I think, so that's one of the important, and I kind of personalize some of this because that's what fuels me.
Of course. So we'll get to what makes you so driven about this and so passionate about this. Because I feel like as immigrants, we our origin is in Nigeria. We all migrated from Nigeria to somewhere. Um, all we know how to do is just work, 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 work to take care of the family. And a lot of us stock money or save money in the banks, and they think that's good enough. I mean, growing up, I also thought it was good enough because my parents were always like, save money, but put it in the bank. But we'll get to that. I just want us to educate and break down things so that it's easier to digest as we go. So, my next question for you, and thank you for answering the questions. My next question for you is, what are assets? For those who don't know, what are assets?
Okay. I mean, as Robert Kiyosaki put it, so as there's assets and there's liability. It's really easy. Whatever puts money in your pocket is assets.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever takes money from your pocket is liability.
Mm-hmm.
So accumulate assets, reduce liability. That's it.
Okay. And what are real assets?
So real assets are tangible assets. So we stretch the definition sometimes, but it allows us to kind of limit our scope in a way. So, because sometimes we have a board meeting that we have to decide, is this really real asset? So real asset are things that are tangible, you can touch, you can feel. And so that's, so that's the main definition of that.
So, for further break it down in layman terms for those who might not understand. Yes, tangible are things you can touch, right? So,
Yes.
can you give us some examples of tangible assets, real assets? Just examples so that our viewers understand what this actually means.
So the most common, obviously, is the real estate for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's multiple ways you can invest in real estate, and you can make an argument of, if I'm loaning you, if I'm the bank, I'm loaning you money, is that a real asset?
Mm-hmm.
But it's at least give you a guideline. You can still do mineral rights. We love minerals. In terms of oil and gas, I mean, we came from Nigeria, a country with oil and gas.
Mm-hmm.
Also, precious metals. We don't actually. I don't have precious metals, but my partner really believe in gold, and more of as a store of value, not so much of like an investment. So we also acquire businesses. We actually consider businesses to be real assets also. because you can effect the change. And many of them relate to real estate as something that you actually can build by yourself. It's not passive. So that's how we kind of think of real assets.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering that. So now we're going to talk about your portfolio. So you mentioned earlier in this session that you became a doctor to kind of bring your family up to a middle class. I feel like, okay, as foreigners, that's the thing with foreign parents: become a doctor, become a lawyer or an engineer, right? But is medicine, first and foremost, is medicine something you've always wanted to do, or you just did it just to get your family to a certain financial level or class?
I've always loved the medical field.
Mhm.
I was actually in Nigeria at 14. I was already in veterinary medicine in University of Ibadan very early. And I was in my third year
Wow.
when my mom, first of all, got to Canada and she sponsored me to Canada. So, but when I got to Canada, I had a decision to make. I can continue veterinary medicine because I was thinking about along the business line. In Nigeria, it's much easier because then I can open my poultry farm.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of a fish farm or something like that. I was always been like a kind of entrepreneurial thinking.
Mm.
But when I got to Canada, I look at what are the potentials, and I
Mm-hmm.
just don't see it, with veterinary medicine. So being in the medical field was something I always loved. I love science. I
Mm-hmm.
love the kind of just critical thinking and
Yep.
things like that. But the medicine part was a rational decision, like to go to human medicine.
Yes. Good. Okay. Well said. So you're currently a doctor of pulmonary medicine,
Yep.
and you are also an investor. So, okay, during your journey as a medical doctor, I know you're busy, you're seeing patients, the education is continuous because it's nonstop with science. Um, what clicked for you one day? So, what happened to you that you just woke up one day and said, okay, let me go into investments? Where did you
So
start? Like, where did you start, and what fueled that passion for you to take off to the level that you're at?
yeah, okay. So I've always known, I wanted to. I'm an entrepreneur in my mind. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I didn't have the resources, the money, but and then medical school, you have to focus. Like literally, I didn't have time for anything else, so I just kind of do what I have to do. But as I started doing residency, I finally was, once you march into residency, unless you really do something totally out of this world, you'll make it through. Just don't annoy anybody and just
Yeah.
be and just graduate. So at
Yeah.
that time, I feel like I've at least achieved one thing that very little thing can stop me at that point in time. But for me to finish medical school, you have to finish it. So at that time I started doing extra work, and then I was trying to see, I look at it. I have my undergraduate in mathematics. So
Mm-hmm.
when I go to Canada, I did mathematics and statistics. So I kind of loved it. So when I put the number down, and I'm like, even if I make $350,000 a year, let us calculate how long it's going to take me with taxes, and then I'm going to have kids, how long it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take me to become financially independent. And at that time, my number for financial independence was $2.5 million. And for $2.5 million, I will have 4%. And that 4% is going to be 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
$100,000.
Thousand.
So, and I was thinking $100,000 would be good. But even in hindsight now, that's not a lot of money like I thought it was going to be.
No.
But that was my calculation at the time, many years ago. And then when I did my calculation, even being a doctor, because I also had the $300,000 loan, which is
Yes.
acquiring interest all this time. And then when I married, my wife also had loan from nursing school. So I'm just looking at it. There's no other way. I think I calculated to be late 50s, which is still good.
Yeah, but
Late,
you want to enjoy your life though.
yeah.
When
So
you
it'll be
have
like
kids.
maybe 58,
Yeah.
become financially independent. So, and then, and that's not me flying first class. That's not me going to Dubai. That's not me going to Nigeria and having fun. So that's me just deal with the regular upper middle class things.
Yeah.
It's weird that 350K does not get you there. So I know that I have to do something else. So I started, researching. At first, I started blogging. That's how I started my blog. I started talking about it. I would read a book, then I would talk about the book. So I didn't know as I was doing that, I was actually learning over time.
Yeah.
So by the time I post like 100 posts, I read 100 books, and then I started getting more interested. And then, and then I learned about, different ways. I was doing stocks, and then I just did not like the volatility. When I do stocks, one day I wake up, I'm rich. The other day I wake up, I'm poor. It's like so
Down.
variable, and my heart cannot take it, because I'm just like, I just getting anxious. So then I decided, I found, real estate, which even though the prices is still, also unstable behind the scene, but it's not like you're pricing it every day, to sell it. So it's more stable until you want to sell it, right? So, and then I started doing that. I started investing as a limited partner. I work extra shift. You can moonlight when you're like a resident, and I make extra money. I started putting it towards the loan, and some of it I put it towards investment. And then in fellowship, I was doing the same thing. And then, by the time I finished, it was 6 years training, 3 years for residency, 3 years for fellowship. So all those 6 years, it was enough for me to learn, alongside with my training. And then immediately I finished fellowship, all my bonus money, that the company gave me, everything, I put it into my first 8 units. That's how everything started.
Okay, nice. So something just came up, like I just thought about something. As a professional working, of course, in corporate, we get bonuses, you have the 401k. So does 401k or pension matter if you are into investments outside of that?
It matters, but I calculated that too. I have a calculator. Pension is very rare nowadays. Pension used to be good if you work with the government and things like that. So, and if you're in the military and things like that, I mean, there are people, because I do coaching, and then some people talk to me, and then I look at their pension, and I'm like, do you realize you're actually going to be financially independent if you can just take it through the next 5 years? To reach that, some of them need 20 years, or so 10 years or whatever. And like, do you know that that's just good enough? So for some people, because I look at their cost of living, I calculate everything and just give it to them. So yes, it matters. I should calculate it with it. I will argue though, that it's a much slower method to build wealth. And also it's slower and actually riskier in a way, not the pension, but the 401k, because you have no control. A company, you're investing and the company is managing it. You're not managing it. You don't know, and then, it's just, I still have 401k, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I do have 401k. So I do believe that people need to go through all those steps. But once you match your 401k, you got all your match, then you should start looking for alternative investments.
Right. So 401k is not as controlled as your independent investments would be.
Yes, I don't believe so, because I mean the company is helping you invest in a company, and it's not like you can
that's running it. You don't even know what's going on, really.
Yeah, you don't know. You can't pick a phone call and call Tesla. You can't pick up a phone and be like, "Oh, why are you doing this?" Or call Apple. You can't do that. So
thank you for that. For families or individuals that are interested in investing, sometimes they don't know where to start. They don't know how to go about it. Sometimes it's out of fear that they never even start. What do you suggest that one does to start? What are the stepping stones? What is the ABC to, okay, let me at least start learning or know where to put my money?
So, like you said, you already answered it. So the first is education. So you have to educate yourself. I did not just start investing like you saw. I mean, of course, I don't want you to also get that analysis by paralysis. Because I can tell you there are people that we started together, and today's day, they're still talking to me. Oh, I'm still thinking of investing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, look, I have reached financial independence while you're still thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't understand. So you have to, to a certain extent, you need education. At
Mm-hmm.
least have and that's another reason to focus. So I focus on real estate because then I study that, I read more books on that, you
Yeah.
know so that, I think I recommend a book called Tax Free Wealth.
Tax
you
free.
know yeah, I think it's Tom Wheelwright wrote it. So, very good books that will talk to you
Mm-hmm.
about how to shield your taxes, how to invest in like real assets and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you a lot.
Yeah.
And also, um, yeah. So first thing, so for us, there's online now. There's so many platforms. You can start with the bigger guys that like Grant Cardone. I read some of his book, 10X, you know,
Mm-hmm.
be obsessed or be average, or some, I read all those books. So, and they, resonate with me, to
Yeah.
basically follow my passion. So read books,
Mm-hmm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Rich dad.
Total Money Makeover,
Mm-hmm.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So you have to decide which one you're trying to take. Are you trying to take the debt-free side, or are you trying to take the leveraging side? I ended
Mm-hmm.
up combining both. I was debt-free, and then I went start leveraging with real estate. So,
Mm-hmm.
read books, and there are a lot of coaching program out there also. Of it doesn't work for everyone. Some people will say I do coaching, and it didn't help me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's still people out there. Maybe once you know them enough,
Mm-hmm.
get into their platform, watch the videos. We also have a YouTube channel you can watch. You can just look at, do they resonate with what you're looking for, and do you feel like they're not too far away? Because for me, it's so important that I get mentors that are not
Mm-hmm.
too far away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I tried the bigger guys, and it didn't work for me because they're so far removed that I could not gain anything from them.
Yeah.
But then I find people that are like maybe a few steps above me, and then and that's what I keep doing. And then once
Mm-hmm.
I pass them, I find another person that's a few steps above me. So
Okay.
to find mentors like that. So
Yeah.
maybe find someone that's already got maybe their first 2 units.
Okay. So, education through reading books, the suggested book titles and authors that you mentioned, and also mentorship, which is very, very important. Also, in your career, you should have mentors as well.
Yes.
Good one. So, we have a question from a viewer because I don't want to
Okay.
miss any questions. So, our viewer asks, are there challenges immigrants should expect to face in owning real assets, meaning a state in a foreign land? And how much should be one's annual income to own a real estate in the UK and rest?
Okay, well, I know we already said I'm not a financial advisor, but
Yeah.
but I could give my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, in owning, the good thing about, I live in the US. I'm not sure about
Mm-hmm.
the laws, and
Mm-hmm.
I know about Canada, and I know about US.
Mm-hmm.
US make it so easy.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I gotta say. Anybody can say whatever they like about the US, but US definitely give you that freedom. If you have your money, you can do anything you want. You can buy a property. You just have to open an LLC. You have to open a proper, company, and structure it properly. Talk to lawyers, CPAs, and they will help you do it. So that's it. Money is what you need,
Mm-hmm.
in the US. In Canada, there are some properties that you would need to be a Canadian citizen. Okay. And, thankfully I am, but
Mm-hmm.
there are ways you can do a joint venture, but that also, you need trust. You can do joint venture with someone that is Canadian citizen, you know, and then do it together. So, so that's what I would suggest with some, for some people that want to own, the same way you're going to do it in Dubai and many
Mm-hmm.
of these other places where, it might confer an advantage, even if the advantage is not just for you to buy it. Advantage might be that you get better loan products,
Mm-hmm.
The advantage might be that you have better tax, tax treatment.
Right.
If you're, if somebody is a joint venture with you and you're not a foreign person. So yeah, that's where I would say. But US, come on in.
You're right. So you just need money. Money, I mean, I feel like money speaks and money works here in the US.
Yep.
And it's advisable to do it without any debt, correct?
Um,
Debt free.
I actually do believe that the main reason to do real estate is actually leveraging debt.
Okay. Leverage.
In fact, without debt, I know many people that do that, and I would pass you 5 times in the next 20 years
Hmm.
if you don't leverage. So I know we have limited time. I do a very quick analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have 200K to invest. You have 200K, but
Mm-hmm.
instead you went to buy one single family home, which you probably won't be able to afford that anyways. So buying with cash, it's a lot of money. It's going to be difficult for you to actually even buy anything. But that 200K I can use to buy $1 million property with 20% down.
Hmm.
Granted, I will need some reserve, right?
Yeah.
Just in case. So let's just make that. So you can see that. So a $1 million property might be a 10 units, 15 units. So you're getting more rent,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, of course, but the debt will be under your LLC. So your LLC is a separate person from you. So even though you might personally guarantee it in the beginning, but over time, your company should be able to stand alone by itself, and your business should be able to stand alone by itself, so
Mm-hmm.
that the loan will be what is called non-recourse loan, which means if something happens to the loan, they can just take the property. They will never take your own. It will never bounce back to you.
I feel you.
So so that's just one of those asset protection things you have to do eventually. But I'm just gonna say you need to leverage.
Leverage. Okay. Well done. Thank you. So the next question is, how does mortgage work? And is there any books that can help? Are there any books that can help?
I can't think of a book in my head, but
Mm-hmm.
for because I've been here since I was 18, US and Canada, so I kind of understand it. But the best way I can explain it is just, let's say you want to buy a property. I will use it for the last one we've got. It's a $26 million property.
Mm-hmm.
They said they will give us 65% of the loan. Okay. Many times, if it's a personal property, they will give you 80%. Okay. So if they give you 80%, so you only have to come up with 20%. So we end up raising, about $15 million because we wanted the reserve. However, let's say it's a property of $1 million, you're able to get them to give you 80%. So they will put 800K. The bank will give 800K. Of course, you have to pay the mortgage. And then you have to only come up with $200,000. With closing fees and reserve, maybe you need another 100K. So with 300K now, you can control $1 million property.
Hmm.
And that's why when we say we have $176 million under management, of course, it's not that we have it in cash,
Yeah. Okay.
but we own at least 20 to 30% of those. So,
Okay. Thank you. So, next question from me is, what are the different types of investments and which one is more advisable? We hear about different investments: invest in this, invest in Google, invest in Apple, invest in Tesla, invest in Coca Cola, Colgate, invest here, invest there. Which one is more advisable?
because I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm going to
Um,
caveat it again.
yeah.
However, I'm a coach, so I could give an opinion. So what I would say is, first, you need to decide what is your own personal financial goal. You need a statement to yourself. Okay, what are you trying to achieve, and what make you sleep at night? So that is why there's so many different ways. That's why we call it personal finance. So you need to decide what are the things. What I recommend for many people, which I know, especially Nigerians, because I know that we are risk averse people.
Yes.
And we are very discouraged very quickly because we're used to hearing somebody getting scammed, something happens to somebody, they lost all their money. So we always start slow because they said get discouraged. They will invest one time, they lose money. Like
Yep.
for me, if I invest one time, I lose money. I'm not like that. I know about law of averages. You know, you're gonna do 10 investments, one of them is gonna not work. So it's just law of averages.
That's the
You can't
nature of the business.
you
Yeah.
can be lucky, but oftentimes you're not that lucky.
Correct.
So but at least you're trying your best though to decrease that number. So investment is not without risk. So once you define your financial goals, so let's say you say I'm moderate risk or low risk person. You
Yeah.
have to accept it to yourself. There are tests online you can do. There's one on Vanguard you can do. It will be like, okay, if the market is going down, do you put more money? Do you take out your money or do you keep it stable? Most people will withdraw their money when they should be putting more when the market is going down, right? If you buy Tesla for $200 and now it's $100, that's on sale. You
Buy
should buy
more.
more. No, but most people will sell. So you know you're low risk if you're going to sell. So
Yeah.
that's an easy test. If you're someone that will put more money into it, then you're higher risk. Also depends on your age. For me, I believe that in your 20s and in your 30s, especially in your 20s, you should swing for the fence, in my opinion. I think you should do higher risk investment in your 30s also. But once I start to get to your 40s, you start moderating your risk. And
Yep.
once you get to your 50s, you're like, I'm okay with 7% return. You don't let anybody try to sidetrack you with 25% return because you just want to at that time is wealth conservation stage. You've passed the wealth accumulation. So now you're just wealth preservation. And then your 60s, definitely even withdraw the money if you have to.
Yeah.
So because you can't bounce back easily. So when you talk about that, so what I would say is if you're going to do stocks, I advise index fund,
And
not
what is that?
individual. Basically it's a fund in which has, like for example, SP 500 has 500 companies in it. So that's why it's always, even though it goes down, but almost always goes up. But it goes up like 7%, 8% a year. So it's stable, but it's not gonna be make you a billionaire, but it is stable, So that's what I would recommend to start. And
Right.
also for real estate, real asset. Yeah, index fund. Yes, I like that. So index funds, mutual funds, and then so if you're going to stock route, and then for real estate, multifamily, people are always going to need a place to live.
Yes.
And I like it better than single family because of the economy of scale, and also the fact that if one unit is empty, that's 100% vacancy. But if I have, we have 126 units and we evicted 35 people all at once, and we still have more than 70% occupancy. So that's the economy of scale. I know you don't always have the money, but you can invest with people that are doing that. If you don't have the money, like the ability to buy all of that yet. So I would say keep it simple, do index funds, and maybe some multifamily. And as you get smarter and learn, you can start diversifying even more to say, look, let's try some self-storage. Let's try, for me, I have Tesla. I don't advise it for people because, you know, I had one time I had like 1.5 million. Next time I had like 700,000. So it's like that.
Up and down.
It breaks your heart a lot, you know. But that's what is called asymmetric upside play. You don't have the chance to do that until you're like, millionaire. You should start doing more of that after if you're really rich, you can dedicate 10% of your portfolio to asymmetric upside plays. So this is not the time for you to be doing venture capital when you're still trying to accumulate wealth, make your first million. Somebody say, I have a company. This company will be the next biggest company.
Mhm.
I do that,
Mhm.
but I dedicate, maybe, a certain amount of money of my portfolio, 5 to 10% crypto, 5 to 10, all that's on that bracket, asymmetric upside play, not more than 10%. So anytime somebody says this, when I give that $10,000 for that new company,
Mhm.
in my mind, I already lost the money. you know, but they do have a symmetric upside play. I've had some of them that are 20x, right? They become successful that I was like even surprised myself. Like, oh wow, okay, good job.
Yeah.
Send me the check. So anyway, so for me, the way I structure my portfolio, I'm about 60% real assets,
Okay.
and I'm about 30% stocks,
Mhm.
and about 10% asymmetric upside plays.
Well done. Thank you, sir. So we have another question from a viewer, and they said, "What's your view on using home equity loans to start a business?"
So it's risky. I would say it depends uh,
The type of business.
on your situation.
Mhm.
So for me, I understand that I'm not. I have an advantage that most people don't have, and that's high income. So I could do so many things. I could risk things. I
Mhm.
could do that. I could get a home equity loan. That the worst case scenario, business fails. I'm just gonna pick up shifts day night.
And pay that.
I'm paid off. It will take me years,
Mhm.
but I will pay it off, right? But if you don't have anything else, it's a very risky play.
Mhm.
Maybe you can do it in your 20s, maybe early 30s,
Mhm. Okay.
so that you could potentially. But I would say taking loans to do things that most businesses have, like, I think the number is so bad, like 90%
Mhm.
of failure in the first 2 years. And I'm not discouraging. Of course, I have multiple businesses,
Mhm.
but I'm just saying though that most business will start with you just brute forcing it. Any business that you cannot start by little money and basically putting your sweat equity, I will not advise it for somebody that's just getting started.
Thank you. So, question for you, since we're on equity at the moment. So you like real assets, which is mainly real estate, et cetera, et cetera. So you know the American dream is to purchase your first home, because I feel like that's everyone's dream, especially foreigners. So once you purchase your first property, you build equity. So do you now take that equity to go purchase another property? Is this how this thing works? So can you, okay, now you bought a single home for your family so that they're comfortable. The years pass, you've built an adequate amount of equity. Now you have that money there. You want to take out that money. Can you buy a multifamily then as an investment property? Is that how that works?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I mean, so if the interest rate is low,
Mm-hmm.
I would advise a real just refinance and take the money out. So
Mm.
that's what we did when all the interest rates were low, right? So when the interest rate was 3%, 4%,
Yeah,
you know, so if you have a property is 500, yeah, like we have one in Canada. I mean, the price was just going up. I think we had it for 400K, and now it went up to $1 million. So the question, I mean, in Toronto, Canada, right, and California, those places, the prices just shoot up. So my parents, we did cash out refinance. So we went back to the bank. We said, well, we paid 100K of this. So there's 300K loan left,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's worth 1 million. We want $300,000 from this. But then they say, but your loan now will be 600,000, and this is going to be your new mortgage. Can you pay it? If your answer is yes,
Then
okay,
agree.
they can get that 300,000, and that $300,000 is yours to use tax free to do anything you want to do. So that's why refinance, cash out refinance, always a very great way to build wealth.
So it's a better option. Okay. Nice. All right. So next question is with the many investment company options that are available, what should one look for before committing to a particular company or
So
investment agency?
yeah, it's good. It's great you ask that question because it's a very common question our investors ask us, and we actually do have a list. Am I able to share? Right?
Yes,
Let
you
me
are.
see. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. Bear with me, everyone. So Windows. So we came up with a list, and in the in the Nigerian fashion, we came up with a lot, 101 questions. Are you able to see?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So yes. So I mean, you can print this. You can find it on our website and and get a copy. Of course, it's going to cost you your email, but So basically, we take due diligence seriously, and I think that's one of the most common problem with us, especially back home, is you just take people's word for it. Somebody coming, oh, I have this investment. This is the big thing. It's making all the money. You just need to build this, and this is how much you need, and everybody just put the money. So, but you need to be able to go. You need three things you need to do, especially if it's real estate. You need to do due diligence on the team itself. I mean, most of the information can be found online. You can Google their name, find it. Who is responsible? Who are the managers on this team? Who are the general partner team? Find all their name. Google online. I mean, we do background checks. But sometimes I just Google. I already find the criminals. I mean, there's no need to move forward.
Yes.
So, and then you have some other questions. About how many deals have you managed like this? Who is the property manager?
Mhm.
And what's your role and responsibility? Is this the first time you guys are working as a team? So there's all these questions you need to ask, and this is about the team. Now you move on to the market also. So people say, oh, this is the new hosting. If you know how many times I've heard that, this is going to be the new California, the new, and then, so you yourself need to be able to go online and search, okay, and ask questions also. How long have you been in this market? Oh, we just invested in this market for the first time. Oh yeah. In my mind, I was like, how are you so sure of yourself? How you're gonna 10x my money? So how did you choose this market? How did you do your due diligence? Can you show me some pictures? Can you show me evidence of low crime rate? You also can Google is your friend. Crime rate in Illinois. Look it up. If it's Lagos, look at that area. And then the deal itself, you also want to do due diligence on the deal, right? You want to look at the assets. You want to see, is it, why is the last person selling? That's one of my most commonly asked questions. Everybody can say whatever they like, but also that's why I like Zoom meetings with people I want to invest with. I want to see, what do they do with their eyes? Are they shifting their eyes? Are they, not being attentive?
Mhm.
So and then what's the business plan? Don't just send me a paper, one paper or something that just show how I'm going to 10x my money. I want to see the business plan. And for me, because I love mathematics, they was like, oh, it's like 100 pages of numbers. And I'm like, yes, please. I've been praying to get that. Please send it to me, please. And I will dissect it myself, take a look at it. I understand that not everybody have that skill, but at least you should educate yourself and get used to looking at numbers, looking at projections. See that, are they embellishing the projection? Like I look at deals, they say, we're going to raise rent 7% every year. And I just look online, how many percent have rent increased
Please.
in Tulsa? And the answer was 4%. And I'm like, if anything, you should go to 3% just in case.
Mm.
So, so basically, the answer to your question is look at all these questions, ask it from the operator, and look for as many as you can online. Don't just hand over your money in general. I mean, I think of money like, it's, you have like, the David and Goliath situation. You
Mhm.
have limited amount of stone.
Yeah.
So you can't just be throwing it and now you have like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, your lost, don't have any stone, so you have nothing else to fight with. So, and that's why I think about money, it's limited and you can't just be wasting it.
Anyhow, yeah. Thank you for that. So this list can be found on your website, right?
Yes,
DrBreatheEasy.com.
I think it's under resources and they can click it and then
Sources.
they'll be able to find it. Okay,
Okay,
let me finish it.
so that we wrap up on these particular questions, can you just give me the top three signs of a fraudulent company or investing group? Top three. I know there are plenty things you can look into, but what are your top three telltale signs from your experience?
Number one, you need well, first is look up SEC violation.
SEC.
SEC, which is Security and Exchange Commission.
SEC. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Almost any investment company
Mm-hmm.
would have registered with the SEC at some point, or at least do when they do their deals. First, if they don't have anything like documents, PPM, and things like that filed, they're fraudulent. You need to be able
Mm.
to have documents that binds the parties together. And when you look online, you can see violations easily. It's public record. So if I see a lot of SEC violations, some have been able to explain it to me why, and if it makes sense, it doesn't mean you rule them out, but you want to be sure that at least you
That they're
get the
legit.
information, and they're not lying to you about it. So if I ask, have you have any SEC violation, and they told me no, and I look online, there's 5,
Mm.
automatically they're not trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to check their online record, make sure they're trustworthy,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that they have track record. So those are the main one I would say to, and also talk to one of their investors if you can find them, or at least ask for recommendations
Emotions.
to see, what do they think? Not just even about the returns. The return might be so sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
you can be like, do they communicate with you? How's the
Mm-hmm.
communication? Did they tell you the truth? As the deal was falling apart, are they telling you it's falling apart, or they're like everything is going beautifully?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly one day they're like, we're bankrupt.
Mm.
That's the most annoying ones to me. That you don't give anybody any time to react.
To be. Yeah.
So and just suddenly just be like, what now? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. Make sure they're fully legal, they don't cut corners, and they who they say they are,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trustworthy. At
And
the
this.
end of the day, it's only
Mhm.
one thing really, to be honest. Trust. If I can trust you and I believe that you're ethical enough,
Mm-hmm.
everything else we can figure out. you know.
That's true.
So
So going on the SEC website online to type
just
in the investor group name or company name to make sure that they're valid.
yes.
Okay.
So also their LLC, they should have an LLC
Mm-hmm.
at some point with their name. Sometimes there's a way to hide your name, but that should still be linked to you. In a way, at least, you know, people should be open. You should be able to find them.
Find them. Yep.
They should
Yep.
be able to have a location, right? So
Mm-hmm.
many times people get scammed. I look at it and you can see from the beginning that they don't have an office, they don't have a presence, you can't find them. I mean, so like, why would you put your $100,000
Mm-hmm.
for this person?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So one of our viewers had a question. What is the minimum amount to partner with your company?
so we do have I would say 50K.
50K.
You know, you have to understand that we deal with physicians. So, that's what we come down to. I mean, we do take from any, whoever wants to invest with us, but our focus is physicians, and physicians are high income earners. There are some investment that's 100K minimum that we've done too in the past. Just depending on how much money we're trying to raise. If you're trying to raise $50 million, if you raise it at 25,000 each, that means you're going to have to deal with hundreds of people. So, but if you raise it to 100, it will be less amount of people to raise it from. So usually that's what it comes down to. So I'll say 50 in general. But we do you can join our investment club on our website also. And you don't have to do anything. You can just put your information and you can see our deals. You get an email from us. And it's up to you to decide. What are the requirements? You have most of our deals, you have to be an accredited investor. So an accredited investor, by definition, in US means you have to be at least $1 million net worth or make $200,000 2 years in a row. So that's it. And we do have investors from Nigeria, actually, which surprised me the most. People that write $100,000 checks straight from Nigeria. I'm like, wow. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Impressed. So that's what it is. So 50K accredited investor. We can, help you with your accreditation. There's a website you can use. You have to put all your assets and things like that for them to basically verify it and make sure that you fulfill it. Because this is part of how we don't violate SEC. If you do that, if you publicize a deal as 506C, we call it like a different type. Then you take non-accredited investor, you actually violated the SEC. So, and then they can come after you, and SEC don't play. IRS, you negotiate. SEC, you go to jail. So.
Okay, so next question is, do you have any portfolio in Nigeria at the moment?
Pardon me a little bit. My computer was about to die. I'm going to charge it. I apologize.
No problem.
Sorry, it's been giving me anxiety.
Okay. No worries.
So, go ahead.
So the next question is, do you have any portfolio in Nigeria at the moment or any other African countries?
No. And I really don't want to say too many bad things about Nigeria. But we've tried. And the major issue with that is, I believe that if you're going to have a portfolio there, my brother actually went to Nigeria. He's a doctor too. He went to practice there for a few years. He was in Abuja. He was trying to, kind of do some due diligence and background work for me. And he told me, brother, if you're not willing to stay in Nigeria for 6 months out of the year, don't bother. So that's where we are. So we're still hoping for better security, better, So yeah, the answer is no.
No. Okay.
I do wish, I hope so, because now I have access, not just my own money, but access to raise a lot of money to do great things. But you can't put investors' money at risk. Another part is inflation. So I remember 3 or 4 years ago, it was $1 to 370 or something like that. I remember saying, we send money home, and then suddenly it's like 1,500 or something, So what that tells me is I need to 4x, or 5x my money in the past 5 years to just keep my money at the same level. So which means the kind of investment you're going to have to do is an investment that we have to 10x to double people's money. So it's very difficult.
So next question, thank you, from our viewer is, do you have any packages for non-accredited investors?
We do from time to time. Sometimes I do what is called joint venture. I do have an investor who invests like 300K. She's not accredited. I don't know how, but she came to money.
All
But we were able to do, we find a deal. Sometimes we do smaller deals, or it might be a deal that I'm personally doing. Like
right.
I got a self storage.
Mhm.
I needed $700,000, but I have the 400K, and somebody has 300K, and then they come in as partnership with me, just two of us. So sometimes it will happen like that, or three people, four people. You can do that too. You can put money together,
Mhm.
and so yes, there's many ways, and we do coaching program too to teach people to invest on their own too if they want to. You can just be like, hey, if I'm not accredited, but nobody can tell you you have to be accredited on your own property, right? So if you have money, but you're just not quite there, let's say you come to money, that's usually the most common. But most people that have 50K and 100K to invest are usually accredited investor, right? Usually have a high net worth or make a lot of money, right? Because if you make 200K, if it's taxed, it's already like 120K.
Yeah.
You're gonna leave, and then to wait to now spare 50K. So usually you have to make that much money, and I think they're right on the money with that.
Okay. Thank you. And finally, should one aggressively invest or should they start modestly? This is for people that are starting, that are scared. I know you said earlier that our people easily give up because, of course, they don't know. They don't have the heart maybe you have or the experiences you've had. So, for people that want to start, should they start aggressively or modestly or moderately?
I would say like not even moderate, start lightly, because
Lightly.
um, so because you're using it as a learning opportunity too.
Hmm.
You know, I talk now of all these great things. I made mistakes along the way, even in my own personal property. You
Mm.
know, I've done flips that didn't quite flip. you know you like try to you like let me quickly
Yeah.
buy this for
This, flip it and
200K,
sell it for
250K,
higher.
and then sell it for 200K,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
you sell it for 250K, just enough to
Oh
just
my
break
goodness.
even. So it
Yeah.
happens. So if you have gone all in, you can lose
Yeah,
your money. So
yeah.
never go all in the beginning on anything, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
You have family to feed. So don't be like, people that may go all in on this.
Yeah,
If you look at my portfolio, I didn't start with
and
405,
mhm,
right? I do 4 units,
mhm.
8 units.
Thank you
Let's
slowly.
see, and that's
Mhm.
natural progression too,
Correct.
because if you do you know, all your ammunition, so I would say
Mhm,
start, mildly, use the minimum investment. Like
mhm,
for example, even though we say our last deal, I think was 75K minimum, we have an investor that put 500K, for example. We have, but that's, that person obviously, I asked them, I'm like, what's your net worth? And it's like 50 million. Okay, let's keep it moving.
Wait, 50 million in actual physical cash or all investment
All
portfolio?
their assets,
Oh,
assets.
okay. Okay.
So, net worth, we use net worth here. Most
Okay.
people don't have physical money in the US.
Yeah, because I'm gonna
If
say,
you
oh,
tell me
that's
to
a lot
come
of
out,
money. Mhm.
I might have a lot of net worth, but if you tell me to write you a $500,000 check,
Mhm.
I have to put it together,
Okay.
right? So it's because most of it will be invested, right? Most people that invest, they don't let money sit. And my wife asks, talking to me about that all the time. Like, sometimes you need to let this sit. I'm like, no, but look at that property over there.
Yeah, just jump on the next thing.
Yeah.
So
So
with investment net worth, I guess you guys call it, are you able to take out physical money from that? Is it because it's your money?
yes, you can.
Okay.
So depending on how much you're doing. For example, I have a good amount of stock,
Hmm.
right? You can sell your stock at any time,
Okay.
right? So let's say my portfolio is 10, let's say I'm $10 million and I have 30%, $3 million in stocks.
Mm,
Stocks turnaround time is only like a day or two. So
yeah.
you can just liquidate all your stocks and get $3 million, right?
Hmm.
The real estate is difficult to do so. You need about maybe 4 months turnaround for smaller properties,
Hmm.
and bigger properties might take you 6 months to sell. So, and sometimes you don't want to sell if it's not stabilized. So I would say money that you're putting into real estate, consider it money that is gone for 5 years for real estate. For stocks, you can take it, you can sell your crypto at any time. And also, I always advise people to have emergency funds. We always have about 6 months of living expenses. So if your living expenses is 100K, always have 50K in the bank,
in the bank.
easily accessible money. Yes, sometimes I squeeze it to 3 months because I have something I have to do.
Yes.
But your next income or your next money should be to fill it up first.
Okay.
And then yeah, so that's why I say yes, you can be liquid, you can get liquidity, but most wealthy people don't just have liquid money because inflation is killing liquid money.
Yeah.
And even the emergency funds, I had to do that only because I learned that because I quit my job suddenly last October because autonomy was so important to me to have control. And then I started my own private practice.
Yes.
So then it took 4 months to 5 months to get my first check. So so you need to really. So I live off my real estate, obviously, and emergency funds. If you do not have that, and kids go to private school, there's so many other things, that you could downsize. I've had that in mind that actually what we can do. I have a plan for our family of if things go south.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things we can do. Kids go to public school. Those things like cost immediately.
Yeah.
You don't need the 5,000 square foot house. You go down. So there's things you could do to cut the expenses down. But hopefully it never gets to that.
Amen. So thank you so much, Dr. Bayo. And please let us know, how do we join your coaching class?
So for the coaching class, we have our site. It's called, I usually don't like to start with people trying to pay me money. You can just go on our YouTube, Dr. Breathe Easy Capital. You can find free content. See if those content resonates with you. And if you love it, you can come to our webinar. We do every 2 weeks. On our website, you see our webinar. You can just register for the webinar. And then every 2 weeks you join us, you ask questions. It's going to be something like this, where we just talk with, and we actually keep it open that people can ask questions, and we can come on camera sometimes if there's not too many people. But if you really want to do coaching for real, so we have what is called Real Asset Docs. It's called realassetdocs.com.
So dox.com or docs.com?
DOCS. I don't know if you're able to see it. Let me see if I can. Is there a chat function I can type into?
The studio can type in for our viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be REALASSETDOCS.com.
Perfect. And lastly,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Did you have something else to say?
Oh yeah, that's it. You got it.
Okay, perfect. So lastly, I want you to leave a word of encouragement for anyone who's on the fence. Because we can't, 9 to 5s are not enough. You need more. And a 401k is not enough. You need more. So any words of encouragement for anyone that's on the fence or that's scared to get into
So I'm 38 years old, by the way. So I think people always underestimate. There's a saying that says people overestimate what they can do in 2 years or a year, but always underestimate what they can do in 5 years to 10 years. So, without trying at all, you already failed, right? If you don't try, you never know what is possible, what is achievable. And I think there's no reward without some risk, taking some risk. So take steps to educate yourself as much as you can. You can put a time limit on it. You can be like, 2024, these 6 months is going to be a year of education. Or You can even extend it for a full year, like till next June. I'm going to take it seriously. Read a book a day. Sorry, not a day, like a month. Look at this, get some mentorship. Learn this, and then I will put my first investment in there. And you have to follow through. Yeah, so you have to follow through, and we yeah. So that's what I'm gonna say. Also, don't do analysis by paralysis. I know it's like talking from two part of my mouth. Like, do your due diligence, but don't be paralyzed by it. And how many times have you had people saying, "Oh, I used to be better than her or him in particular thing," and that person is now coach.
They've taken over.
The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And charging. And that's actually why we started the coaching program. There are people that have only 20 units and they have coaching programs. and, and you're like, how? But people are getting results. So I'm just saying, if you don't take a leap of faith, try, you will continuously just keep analyzing, and then you'll be like, oh man, I'm 50, 60. Now I can't take this anymore. So yeah. And also your kids are watching you. They're watching you, they're seeing what you're doing. So if you're like that, they're probably gonna be like that too.
Very true.
So, yeah.
Well said. Thank you so much. And before we all log off, kindly let our viewers know where we can find you on social media, because we live in a social media era. So everyone's on their phones, on their laptops. Where can we find you to keep up with your content?
I'm most active on LinkedIn. I also post a lot of encouraging posts on LinkedIn. I put my timeline there. I'm going to be 2018, I was analyzing my first 8 units. And in 2024, now we have 1,500 units. So those are the things that, when you see that every day, every other day, I feel like eventually most people will message, and just, even if not for anything, just to say, you've helped encourage me. Now I can take, I bought my first 8 units, or I bought my first 1 unit. I don't even care. Buy something, do something, So yeah, so LinkedIn is my most favorite.
What's your handle on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's educational, very professional, but of course you can always do, part of your due diligence might include Facebook if you want to add that, sure. So
what
that's
are your handles? Your handle on LinkedIn and your handle on Facebook.
So LinkedIn is just my name. If you type my Bayo Fasanya, you will see my, you'll see. Thankfully, there's not a lot of Bayo Fasanya doing this.
Yeah.
So, and then also you can find my Facebook. It's open. Most of my things, Instagram, TikTok, Dr. Breathe Easy, between Dr. Breathe Easy, capital, and my full name, you'll find me. Yep, you find everything you want, including all my non-criminal records.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and a special thanks to our viewers for watching and participating in our Q&A sessions. Thank you so much. God bless you, and tune in next month for our next session. This is brought to you by Liberation Prayer Ministries. God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for the platform. Thanks, Elizabeth.